morning. Don't forget the paper. Thank you, and thank you. It's out. It is out. Just one batch this morning. Susan and Ishikawa-san are not here today, but Rei-chan's coming, and she's doing. Actually, I don't know what she's doing at the moment, but Susan, Rei-chan is here. Paper is out. Okay, what are we doing here? It's going to be a slow, quiet stream today. Absolutely. You can see where we're at, still wrestling with this acrylic because I didn't have any time for it yesterday. So you can see what we're doing here. My computer fans are running overtime. What's running in the background? Nothing really. Funny, eh? What's running in the background? We'll see. Should be okay anyway. What we're up to today is just finishing off this. This is the legendary loot block for Suga-san. I don't have a sample of the print to show you. This is Ukiyo Heroes print. The last of the prints that was part of the Kickstarter campaign, the recent Kickstarter campaign. I've got to finish off the Shomen Zuri pattern. This is the pattern that will be the front rubbing pattern. It was supposed to be finished a couple of days ago, but I didn't get to it. But a quiet, peaceful stream here today. I don't have any major show and tell. I've got a couple of things to show you, but it's not a dramatic show and tell. Just a couple of things to mention in passing. Today's Wednesday. Cameron should be here, but he won't. He's off for the day. He's got family stuff to do today. So he's swapped out his days off, and he won't be here today. He's changing his home registration and stuff. He moved a couple of weeks ago. Was it a couple of weeks ago, just before the end of the year? He moved. So whenever you move house in Japan, you have to notify your respective local governments. You've got to tell your first city that you're leaving, and tell your second city that you're coming in, and all your stuff like your health insurance and things like that gets changed from one to the other. Here in Japan, there's no control over where you're allowed to live. You can do what you want. You can move where you want, live where you want, do what you want. Okay, of course, it's a completely free society. But you have to do the documentation behind it. Once you've decided to move, you have to tell those two offices that you've done so that all those different registrations can be controlled and can be managed properly. So. My residence registration is at the moment still located in my house in Ome, although I don't actually spend much time there. I'm a de facto resident of Taito here in Asakusa. And they don't care about that. It's not restrictive at all. But so I'm still resident in Ome. I pay taxes out there in Ome. If I was a voter, I would have to vote out in Ome. I'm not allowed to vote because I'm not a citizen. But everything runs through your residence registration. And because Cameron-san has moved, he's got to change everything. So it's a day of silly paperwork, standing. Not so much standing in line. The city offices are pretty efficient. But you just have to go through it. And his kid is not in school yet, which simplifies things quite a lot. The paper is out, thank you very much. How would you, I'm not sure what you mean, how would you consider Japanese bureaucracy? I don't know, it's not a problem for us. In Japan here, it's one of those countries where there's no, to go to City Hall or something, it's not like, oh my God, here I go, I have to go through this thing. It's not like that. Dealing with City Hall and the different offices is totally no problem at all. It's one of those countries where there's no bribery and stuff like that at all. Absolutely, it's a clean, clear system. And everything is super well organized. When you go into any office like that, it's one of these, you take a number and stuff like that. And it's really well organized, my experience. I don't have, I do. I've got experience of 3 or 4 different cities now. And it's not a problem. The people are sometimes a little officious. They've got rules. You've got to do things the way they want you to do it. But other than that, they're user friendly. There's no hassle with it. They're all very, very carefully, they help you with what's going on, They're there as, quote, public servants, unquote. So there's no hassle. It's sometimes a difficult situation for them because these people who work in city offices, this is one of the jobs that for a long time now has been really, what's the word? I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired this morning. I can't find the words and stuff. People fight to be able to get to work at City Hall. There's a certain type of person, they go through, high school and college and whatever. And the kind of person that wants a really safe job. You get a pension at the end and you're going to go to work and go home at the same time and not a lot of overtime and stuff like that. In general, City Hall is a kind of a job that those people like. It's not a cynic here because they do their work. They work hard. And when there's something going on, a problem or disaster, they really are on the ball. It's not a job that I could ever do, of course, because it's just day after day of paperwork. But because they know they have it easy in that sense, they've got a guaranteed job with steady pay and a good pension and a retirement allowance and stuff like that. They know they've got it made. So they have to be really careful because they're dealing with people who sometimes don't have a job or unemployed or whatever. And they can't lord it over you at all. They have to be really careful. I'm not explaining it very well, am I? Anyway, it's no problem. You go to City Hall, you do the thing. The people are friendly, and they help you with what's going on. It's not something you dread going to do. It's an easy, simple process with friendly, helpful people. Every now and then the paperwork gets a little bit frustrating. I found that when I bought my house. When I bought the house in Olney about 20 years ago or so. There was one particular thing that was really funny. I was living in my old house, okay. I did all the paperwork necessary to buy the new house. No problem, we'd go through this. I didn't actually use a lawyer or a real estate agent. I did it privately. Just looked up all the things that were necessary and went ahead and did it. So I get the deed for the new house, after I made the purchase transaction. I'm still living in my old house, but we do all the purchase, go to the bank, arrange the mortgage, make the payments, buy the house, get the deed transferred into my name. And on the deed itself, it's got my information, my name and where I live and stuff like that. So the deed for the new house has on it one page with my information on it. David Bull, who lives in old house, blah, 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 blah. And it cost about $500 whatever to get this thing registered. That was the final step in all the purchase. There was a bunch of paperwork, but nothing really stupid and official. Just you go through it all. But then, so there it is. So I then move into the new house. After we've done all this thing, I've got my deed, I've got all the paperwork done, everything's finished. I then actually go ahead and make the move. So no problem, go to City Hall and arrange all the different things, move my address, move my tax base, move this, move that, change my phone bill, all the other things you're doing. And one thing I had to change was, you guessed it, I had to update the deed. Because on the deed to the new house, it had me living at my old house as the registered address. Another $500 to get a new deed. And that's one of those ones where you just, what were they thinking when they asked me to do that, 1 week ago? So I had the copy of the deed for about 1 week and then had to get a new one. That's where you think these people have got you by the balls. They're just, any common sense rule would have put the deed with my new address. But no, that's not the way it's done, because that wasn't your legal address at the time. So every now and then you get one like this, which is just sort of the paperwork will do what the paperwork wants to do. But in general, it's not such a problem. Cameron today, actually, he's just going to have a peaceful day of it. He just goes to the different offices, the city hall. He's going to have to change his driver's license. What else does he have to change? City hall does the residence registration, the tax registration, his health insurance, all that stuff is handled in a one-stop place at City Hall. But he'll have to go somewhere else for his car license and his driver stuff. As I said, he's got no kids in school, so that's not a factor. I'm not sure what else he'll have to do. But it's no big deal. It's a peaceful day going from here to there to do that stuff. Well, Cameron's not, he's still working here, but Cameron just moved his houses. So no, when he came here a year ago, was it a year ago or a year and a few months ago? He moved from Niigata Prefecture, came down to, he's in, I don't know exactly which prefecture. He might be in Tochigi or Ibaragi. At the end of the train line, the express line runs here in Asakusa. And Cameron moved into a bedsit town about 30 minutes away from this place. And they had, they looked around, they chose a place that they thought was a good place, they rented a house. It turns out it wasn't so suitable. I guess it was too far from shopping or something, or I don't really know. But anyway, they moved house a couple of weeks ago. They found a better place and moved. So he's not going away from here, just he simply moved his residence, that's all. And the move happened a couple of weeks ago, and today he had to take a day off to do all the necessary paperwork transfers. When you moved at a difficult time at the end of the year, and lots of the offices were full or busy or backed up with other stuff and whatever. So he just postponed doing this registration transfer. I'm not sure the deadline. I think it's got to be done within the same month or something. I don't know the deal. So Cameron's not going anywhere, just simply he moved. I don't think it's closer. I think he's coming and commuting from the same train station. But I think the new place is a little bit closer to the train station, but it's the same station. He's not complaining about how far it is. He's got it made. I think it's 27 minutes on the train. He's got it made. No complaint there. There are many salarymen here who would die to have a 27-minute commute. And he goes home early enough that he can sit down many days going home, If he left here later, the typical salaryman time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, he'd never be able to sit down. No, he's not complaining about his commute at all. One interesting aspect to the place that he lives up there at Ibaraki, it's on the way from here towards Fukushima, where the massive earthquake was a few years ago. And that area where his house is, and a bit to the north of it, it's an interesting area in Japan. It's an area that gets constant small earthquakes. As in every few days, there's an earthquake you're going to feel. And this might sound like bad news, but actually the general thought is it's actually good news. Whatever it is that's under the ground there, the different plates and slippages or whatever are happening, it's constantly moving and constantly giving you small earthquakes. And the theory is that because of that, it doesn't build up to a monster or something. So you pay the price day by day in small earthquakes, but there's not so much risk of a giant, massive earthquake. I'm not giving you the experts, whatever, just this is the general feeling of it. That area does have lots of earthquakes, and some of them we feel here in Tokyo. And a few days ago, yesterday, 2 days ago, whatever, there was one up there in the shop on Monday. And those of us who live here, we felt it in the shop. Oh, here we go, we're shaking, there's an earthquake. But the customers who were in the shop didn't feel it. But once we're used to it, you feel those things. And I knew what would happen a few minutes later. Cameron's wife called, oh my God, that was a monster, that was a big earthquake. Because up there, their house is that much closer to the epicenter where those little earthquakes are constantly happening. So she felt it up there much stronger than he felt it here in town. And this is very, very common. I think it was a 3 for us, Shindo-san, and a 4 for her. That's not Richter scale, that's the Japanese local scale. I don't think there's a straight conversion. The Japanese one is some kind of, it's not actually a, what's the word? It's not a scientific scale. It's a kind of a, I forget the deals. It's number 1, animals feel it, but you don't. Number 2, you feel it. Number 3, the light sways. Level 4, a box might fall off the shelf. Stuff like that. It's that kind of a scale. It's not an actual physical scale, like the magnitude scale is an actual physical measurement. So I think the Japanese scale and the traditional Japanese scale and the scientific Richter scale, I don't think they can be equated with a specific number comparison. I'm not sure how it works. Every time there's an earthquake here, this one on Monday too, we felt it in the shop. So I just opened, in my browser, there's a standard couple of pages where the Meteorological Association just posts information within seconds. And it came up, Shindo-yon, and it shows you the map of where it was, and it gives you the Richter scale measurement, magnitude, such and such, things like this. And a couple of people's phones went off. And it's funny, I know I don't get on the train very much, but when you're on the train, the subway or whatever, and one of these little earthquakes goes on, you know, almost everybody on their phone, they have these apps that get the automatic phone calls from the earthquake warning systems, of course, you know. So you're sitting there on the train, just whatever, doing nothing or reading your book, and all of a sudden everybody's phone rings at exactly the same time with a special ring that indicates this is an earthquake warning. And everybody pulls out their phone and it says earthquake due 10 seconds, 9, 8, or whatever, depending on where you are. So, and there's a total silence for a minute then, because nobody knows, is this a big one? Is this just a tiny shaker? Are we about to die? Whatever's going on, no idea. But everybody on the whole train, their phone rings at the same time. And I guess the driver and his system is all tied into it too. And if it's some kind of warning that it's going to be big, the driver probably hits the brakes and stops the train. I've never been on one of those. what kind of tools do you use to keep your knife sharp? I just have a simple stone. I might actually be sharpening here in a minute. It's getting a little bit, the edge is gone. But I just have a sharpening stone. I have 3 stones next to me here. The sharpening stones stay right beside me on the bench here. And the knives just get touched up as I need them. Usually on this stream, when people see me sharpen, it's because I've been carving like this and click, I've broken the tip of the knife. That's when we have a sharpening session right away. You don't see it with me on a day-to-day basis because it's usually actually before the stream starts is when I clean up stuff and get it ready. But sharpening is not a big deal for us. It's a normal part of the daily work. It's not a... When I was younger at this, I didn't know what I was doing. Sharpening was a real, not sure what sort, it was a real, oh my God, I've got to sharpen my knife, what am I going to do? It was a real burden because I didn't know what I was doing. Now sharpening is just a simple touch-up. Just takes a few seconds, bang, bang, away you go. And because we use such physically small knives and tools, sharpening is very, very simple. When you're dealing with very large tools, the guy who used to plane my woodblocks for me, Shimano-san, he had a set of planes. They were quite large blades, you know, some of them like 4 or 5 inches wide. That was tough. That was really a tough job because keeping your stones flat across that kind of dimension is a really difficult thing. But at the level we're talking about here, this tiny knife, you can see it's way smaller than your fingertip. Sharpening is just a few seconds work on a stone. I had a mental memo. There was a couple of things I was supposed to mention on the stream today, and I've actually forgotten what they were. I don't know, anybody can remind me what they were? There's 2 or 3 things I was supposed to mention. Oh, I know. Da-da-da, soka-soka. I need music. Da-da-da. I know the subscription series for this year. What we're calling it in-house, it's JJ, Journey in Japan. The JJ has become the handle for it here. Last year was LL, Legendary Loot, and this year JJ. So I'm talking to Aoyama saying, hey, do we need the blocks for JJ5? I don't know, have you got these blocks ready? So, instead of, giving a full title. Anyway, JJ, it's, I've shut the website down last night. We're basically fully subscribed now, and a fully subscribed meaning it's not over. We will be publishing more of these prints, but at the moment we don't have the printing capability in-house here to do more of them on that monthly schedule. So we've stopped at 200, and 200 actually is pushing it for us. We've got 3 printers working on it, Suga-san, Ishikawa-san, and Kanai-san. And the prints themselves, it's okay. It's not that much of a difficult concept in the prints. And one competent printer could easily handle this within the time frame of 1 month. But the problem is these girls working for us here, they're a little bit slow. And also there's lots of other printing to do here. We can't focus all of our printing efforts just on this one series. We have lots of other printing jobs to do on any given month. So the resources that I can, The resources that I can assign to this job are Ishikawa-san 2 weeks, Sugu-san 2 weeks, Kanai-san 2 weeks. And that gives me about 200 prints. So we've stopped taking orders for this series right now at that level, 200. And I've changed the website to read, people that are interested, please let me know, put your name on the waiting list. And when we do have the printing resources ready to make another batch of these prints, we will let you know. Just when that will be, I really don't know. The number I gave you just now, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks for each of those printers, is an estimate. We don't actually know how long it's going to take to make these prints. Some of them are more difficult than others. We'll see how it goes. So for the moment, it's full, it's done, it's locked up. But there will be more. Absolutely, there will be more. We're really pleased that it's been so well received. But that's it. That's all we can produce at the moment. At least, and still keep other production going on here. We could make more if we cancel everything else, but that's not the sensible way to run your business. Also, the margin on those. For the subscription prints, we really try and keep the price as low as possible. So for Moko Hankan itself, the margins on those are almost non-existent. When we pay the printer gets 1/4 of the revenue, the carver gets 12%, Jed gets his royalty, we've got to pay for the paper, everything else. By the time all those things are covered, the packaging ladies, everything else, there isn't a whole lot left. And that's not a minus, that's not a bug, that's a feature. We're keeping people employed. Jed's being employed, the printers, carvers are employed. That's the goal of this stuff. And there's enough left in the overhead to cover it. So the subscriptions are not a major profit center for us, but they're important for us in that they keep our business running steadily and smoothly and stably. But that's why I can't just abandon everything else and put all the resources into subscriptions. We wouldn't be able to survive, or I wouldn't be able to survive. The printers will be doing okay. Jed would be happy, but I can't. I know the price we set that at, $45 for prints of that complexity, that's really pushing it. Really, really pushing it. What's this 10, 20, and 60 grid? I'm not quite sure. We've lost a few zeros there. Enough profit when you get some new shirts, socks, and casino sweatshirts. I think that stuff all comes to me as donations. chewing away bit by bit, yeah. I said it was going to be a quiet, peaceful one this morning, and it is, for sure. The Canadian trip, no, it's family. I'm going to have to figure out how to split my time. I'll be crashing on my mother's living room floor. That's where I'll be staying, mostly at my mother's place. But then I'll have to go X days with my eldest daughter and her family. Then I got to see my younger daughter and her family. Then I got to see my son-in-law. There's basically four places I will be visiting to spend time with. No, it's 100% family. Where is it yet? It's February 12th, I think I'm leaving. I can't remember exactly. 3 or 4 weeks from now. And the staff was laughing about that yesterday. Dave has planned his vacation for the quietest time of the year. Absolutely the quietest time of the year. We've been here in Asakusa for 4 years, and January, February have been, well, the only word used is Death Valley. There have been not so many tourists here in Japan. January, February have been quiet. But Cameron and I yesterday, we were looking at some of the numbers here so far. And on all fronts, on the Asakusa shop, on online sales, and on subscriptions, we are not only a little bit over last year, we're already, in all of those fronts, we're already double what we did last year in the full month of January. And yesterday was the 15th, halfway through the month. So our Death Valley season is turning out to be no Death Valley at all. There isn't really going to be a quiet season for us at all. Yesterday we were actually closed. Tuesday the shop is closed. I was working upstairs. I was in my what used to be the party room upstairs. I say working, actually I kind of crashed yesterday, but whatever. So I was in the old party room upstairs, and on 2 separate occasions people came in the front door, what used to be the front door of the shop, and came upstairs. Where is everybody? And we had a sign down, closed Tuesdays, but people don't see that. They just grab the door and come on in. So it's still crowded up there. Even in February, the middle coldest part of the year, there's still a bunch of tourists out there. I guess what's happening, of course, is that it's cold in Japan in January and February, but the big attraction for a lot of people is the airfares are low. The hotels are not empty, but they have space. Transportation and accommodation costs are much lower than any other time of year. And all the famous places are not crowded. And if you try to go to the Bamboo Grove or whatever in the middle of October, we didn't get in there because it was just too crowded. So this has become an attraction for people coming here in January, February, when they can actually see stuff. We have mixed feelings about it. We're happy to be busy, but it means we never get any downtime, never get any off time. Whether we like it or not, we're partly in the woodblock print publishing business, and we're partly in the tourist business. It's a bit of a funny mix for us. We're in both worlds. And when you're in the woodblock print publishing business, you work on your own time, your own scale, do what you want. It doesn't matter, because production is separate from anything to do with people visiting. But when you're in the tourist business, it's a different story. It's all, you have to be there. And you got to be there all the time. And this is turning out to be not easy, not trivial at all. Staff is turning out to be a real problem. I might have mentioned this a few days ago. We lost 2 people last week, Lei-chan and Dui-chan. Not Lei-chan the printer, but Lei-chan, the young girl who worked in the shop here. It became just too difficult to her to balance her school responsibilities and the work, and she's gone. She wants to do some shifts when we get to the busy season in March or April. She wants to do some afternoon or evening shifts. But for the rest of it, it was just too much time out of her school. And Dui-chan got a real job. She got an offer that she couldn't refuse. Real employment, full-time employment, in a field she wanted to do. And I couldn't match that, of course. I can't hire all these people full-time. So that was it. Out she went. And these have been 2 girls who have been really, really good in the print party. They've been able to run print parties by themselves. And they speak English well. They're happy with people. They're conversant. And to lose both of them right now, bang, bang. And they did it well. They didn't just quit for me the day before the March rush started. They let me know right now, and they left now. And the clock is now ticking for me. I've got 6 weeks or so to get some replacements in place, to get more people on board who can do print parties. Otherwise, my life will just become unbearable again. I'll be doing 4 or 5 parties a day for 3 months, and I can't do that. It's a real, real problem now. Resources, human resources. Oops. Oh, questions. I'm sorry, I'm not keeping track of this here. Is the stream lagging? I've got drop frame 0 kilobits per second over 4,000. I think I'm okay at this end. We're streaming at 720 at 29.97 FPS and no drop frames, so I think I'm okay. Are the printers still working on Tuesdays? They work on their own schedule. Today up there, today is Lei-chan's here. Suga-san is off today. Ishikawa-san never comes on Tuesday. They choose their own days. They have their own days to work. Do I still play the sax? No, my God, I haven't touched the saxophone in 35 years, 34 years? I don't know, no idea. Yeah, questions answered. What this block is answering. Thank you very much. Good. Someone asked the other day about the idea of a camera in the scope here, and it's on my list of things to do. I know. Oh yeah, I've got a scope here. We have two microscopes. The one you're looking at me now, which is a binaural microscope, 2 eyepieces, and that's all. I also have a trinaural microscope, which we got cheaply on auction a while ago, but I haven't had the time to set it up. And it's similar to what you see here. It's binaural for me, and it's got a thing at the back where you plug a camera in. And the reason I haven't got it running yet is because I did a quick test after we bought it. And it looks really cool, it looks ready to go, but the problem is the lens is set up. The combination of these two lenses at the top and the lens at the bottom, they're different than this one. And it's too close up. When I look through this thing right now, what I'm seeing is, I see, let's go to the edge of my view here. Between my fingers, that's the circle that I see when I'm looking down through this thing. So I can see where I am, where I'm going, and what's going on. We're not zoomed in like to bug level. But the other microscope, the trinaural that I bought, has got a different lens setup. And when I look through it, I only see about a circle about 1 centimeter or so. And that's not enough. I can't work like that. We're not using this microscope to do brain surgery and, you know, join together nerves and stuff. So the thing to do is to work with Aoyama-san and get some time and see if we can take the lenses out of this scope and put them in that scope and switch them back and forth. And then use the trinaural with the camera on top to let you see the view that I'm seeing now. And it's just simply, it's been on the list of things to do, but hasn't been really a high priority. So if we can get that running, that will be really, really fun. And we'll put an extra camera view somewhere on the screen. Maybe I'm in the top left, hello, and then in the bottom left here, we'll see the screen down through the microscope. And then over on the right-hand side, you can see what you're looking at now, the overview screen. And that would be really, 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 really a ton of fun, I think. It's just waiting for me to get around to figure out how to do it. There was a camera that came with that trinaural microscope, but it's not useful. It's a little CCD camera that's like 640 pixels in black and white. You know, not so interesting. But I'm sure the mounting, we can just figure out whatever kind of mounting we need to do to have it fit a handycam. And it might be actually, for me, it might be a little bit embarrassing if we're doing that. Because when you see down through the microscope here, you're looking at all the ins and outs of this, and it doesn't look neat and clean. You know, the block that will print here will make a beautiful printing job, but when you look at it under a microscope, this is not cleanly and smoothly cut. There's roughness, there's raggedness, it's all chipped out and popped out. The lines themselves are smooth. This is the important part. The lines are smooth, but the intermediate areas around them, they're chopped out. This is a woodblock for printing. This is not a Michelangelo sculpture where the whole thing has to look attractive, every little aspect of the surface. This is a woodblock for printing. So when you're looking through the microscope with me, you're going to see, oh my God, it looks like the surface of the moon there. What is he doing? What a mess. And I know what's important, that the lines have smooth curves to them. But someone who's just watching it, they just look like a horrendous mess. So in that sense, it might be a bit embarrassing for me to have people watching at that level. I don't know. whatever, we'll see. Anyway, it's on the list of things to do. We'll give it a shot. I don't use the scope all the time. It's not just for the stream. You know, we've talked about it. I use it for streaming because it helps keep the camera view locked on one place. That's one of the main reasons. For a pattern like this, I would be using the scope even if we weren't streaming, because, you know, I am 67 years old and this is kind of a detailed pattern. But there's three systems I use now. If it was a fairly, when I'm using a hammer and stuff to clear, I just sit here with my normal glasses, close-up glasses, and no lenses at all when we're doing rough hammering work. And if I'm carving lines or something, or color blocks that don't have really tiny detail, but a reasonable amount of work, then I use my flat lens. It's this thing here. I've got a lens like this. I don't know the magnification. It's no big deal. It's just like a, here, you can see, I don't know. What's the magnification? No idea. And it sits on a clamp on the bench, and I look down through this. That's what I do most of my work with. I'm not like I do much work now that isn't streaming, but anyway, if there was nothing else involved, that's what I would do most of my work with. Then for the last little detail level, carving human hair or delicate fine lines or stuff like this, that's when I use the scope. But for you people watching the streaming, you get the idea that actually Dave uses the scope all the time for all the jobs. It's actually not quite true, but it doesn't matter. If I think back to the good old days now, whatever, 25 years ago, I didn't have any lenses of any kind whatsoever. I just sat down at the bench and carved, you know. I had glasses. I've had glasses since I was a teenager, but it just seems crazy now. Sit down at the bench with no lenses. I can't even do that. I mean, I'd be out of work, period. I can't do it. Today in the shop it's Wednesday, so it's what we've been calling Girls' Day, Ladies' Day. There's 3 girls have been doing the Wednesday shifts. Shiba-san, the young girl you've met who does her own designing. She does those horror prints. Shiba-san's the main staff member today. And she'll be helped by Audrey-san, the French girl who is here studying as a traditional carver. And then the 3rd member of the Wednesday team has been Dei-chan, the young girl who's working here, a high school girl coming in. And Dei-chan's gone now, so it'll just be the 2 girls. But we're a little bit light on parties. There's only 2 parties, so I think they can probably handle it by themselves. I've got some backlog stuff I've really got to try and catch up with. Yesterday on the day off, I had a plan that didn't happen. I was going to go to Nagano yesterday. And Kanai-san, the young girl with a baby who's working for us as a printer, she's working at home, and she's moved to Nagano a year or so ago, I guess. So we send the blocks and paper usually up to Nagano. She works there and sends the stuff back. And she's the person who is working currently on the 2nd batch of prints for the JJ series, this year's series. And she really wanted to talk about it. This is a difficult print and how to put the gradations down and whatever, and she's partway through it and really wanted to sit and talk. And she doesn't have Skype. She's not that on a computer. So I was going to jump on the train and go up there yesterday to Nagano to have a conference with one of our printers. But I didn't make it. I really was not feeling good yesterday. Actually, Monday night, I kind of crashed. I went down kind of hard. And on Tuesday morning, I couldn't move. So it was perfect. The shop was closed, so no problem. So I just huddled in the old party room in my bedding. People poked their nose in the door, and I said, just leave me alone for a day. Just leave me alone. So they helped. Cameron went out and got me some juice and a bit of food and stuff and just shoved it in the door. And I just had a crash day, me in the bathroom. That's all we had for the day. And I guess I got emptied out and cleaned up, and now I feel much better. So. But I didn't get the work done that was supposed to be done yesterday. So I'm still feeling kind of weak this morning, but we're back to normal now. So staff gets kind of worried about that. Dave goes down for a day. Everybody gets this, get a bit of flu or something like this or whatever. But I went down hard Monday night. So I didn't get to Nagano, so I'll have to try and talk to her for the phone. The issues. There's a noise with a smaller chisel. Sometimes I'm prying up stuff. I'm not sure what you're referring to as the noise. Sometimes when I'm in here, I pop up. We're just sort of prying. I don't want to pick out too much to make a noise here. So there's a clicking sound you hear. It's when you get in like this, and get underneath, get under some wood, and pop it up here, that one. So this is not a normal Japanese chisel. Our normal tools are made with super nice, it's Japanese steel. It's a 2-level steel, a hard steel on that side and a soft steel on this side for support. It's sharpened and we actually cut. This tool is an actual cutting tool. I will slice, cut, 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 cut. This tool is different. This is just a sewing machine needle. It's a sewing machine needle from an industrial scale sewing machine. And it's just a piece of steel, stainless steel. Super, super, super hard steel. It won't sharpen to a nice edge. But what it is it doesn't break. And this is the one I want to use for that prying job. Get in there and pop up and pop up and pop up. If I tried to do that with a Japanese chisel, the edge would break. You can't move, you can't bend this stuff. You can't pry it. The tip would just fracture off straight away. So the normal tools must be used to cut and slice, to cut and slice. And then the sewing machine needle, it doesn't cut worth a damn, but it will pop and pop and pop and pry and chip. So it's a pretty rough tool, I'm not sure if the guys in the old days ever had them or not. And it was that video you've been watching, the visit to a carver, Susumu-san. Ito Susumu-san. He's the one who showed me about these. He had a couple of them in his box, and I'm like, what is this? And he said, look, who cares? Just get it. Pry the stuff up. You can't always reach in and find a nice place to cut and slice. Just get a tool that you can use to do some prying. I'm not sure how widespread it is. This is part of the downside of the way I do my job, or how the way I've learned this, in that I never had a bunch of contact with lots of different carvers. Well, nobody has actually. In the old days when you were learning, you went to one carver's workshop and you learned from that guy. So nobody really has a good overview of many, many different ways to do it. We all learned the way that we learned, and that was it. So I don't know if that's a technique that was widespread among many carvers in the trade, or whether it's just one dude figured out how to do things in a certain way. I don't have any background on that. Nobody does, really. Yeah, that's the noise you were hearing, the click, click noise. It was me prying up little broken bits of wood with that little prying tool, which is just an old big fat sewing machine needle filed up to the size that I want. So. That's something else that's really on our list of things that we have to do, no doubt about it. I've got to get the camera, video camera, and some assistants and people to make notes and go over and visit my friend Asuka Sensei. Get some permission from him, get him to book a day or something, pay him whatever we have to do, and get his take on a lot of these things. The way I've learned how to do many of these things, a lot of them are self-learned, a lot of them are adapted because I'm left-handed. Some of them are things I learned when I was visiting Ito-san. It's a real grab bag for me, the techniques I know. And I would really, really like to kind of document a bit more carefully the classical style of how this carving was done. And the only guy left really now who knows about that is Asuka Motoharu. He trained in the Takamizo workshop in the 50s, not the 50s, the 60s. He's my age. So he trained in the 60s into the 70s. I mean, there's nobody left who knows about how it was done in the 1800s, of course. But so he's the only person left with the last real handle on how the classical training was done. And he's a much more classically trained carver than me. He's a much better carver than me, in quotes, in terms of the classical techniques. For example, you see me rotating this block round and round. He rotates it somewhat less than me. He's nowhere as good as the old guys were. The top guns would never rotate the block. But he's way ahead of me in this. And it's not fair for me to be putting my technique up and for having people watch my technique and for having only my techniques preserved as the Japanese classical wood carving style. Because it's not true. My techniques are a real mishmash. And I get nice prints made, that's okay. But we would really like to document a bit more carefully how it really was done in the classical way. And I'm not the best guy to have done that because of the way I've approached this craft, you know. If I had been the subject of a more traditional apprenticeship, then it's okay, I'd be able to do it for you, but I can't because I'm a self-taught guy. And he's my age, Asuka-san. He's within a couple of months of me, so I'm 67, he must still be 67. He can still do it. So we should get over there for a day or a couple of days or whatever amount of time it takes. Get over there with a camera and just focus and let him watch, and then ask him a bunch of instant questions, and let him sit and talk, and just get a ton of film in the camera. It's a job that really, 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 really needs to be done. He's so busy, and I'm so busy, and it's just going to run out. I don't know. There are so many, documentaries or projects that could be done in and around our work here, you know. We just can't do them. be such a cool project. Make it a book as well. I've got my little beginner primer book, your first print, how to get some piece of wood and get hacking. But it's not a really good document on how this work is done. And the idea after I published that little book was to follow it up with 2 more, one on printing and one on carving, that would be thousands of pages of just every last little thing that I know, a total brain dump, organized in some nice way, just talking about every single aspect of this that I've learned over the years. But putting that together is a staggeringly complex job. Impossible. I can't make a living and do something like that at the same time. So it would need sort of an outside team here just to follow me around and to watch what we're doing, and me and Asuka-san and the other printers here just collect and collect data and work together into putting it together in some kind of structure. It could be maybe just some kind of giant wiki would be the best way to do it. Just dump the stuff, and then sort of organize it later. And that cooperation with Asuka-san, the classical techniques, that will be a perfect part of this. So it's a massive project that's waiting to be done here, and it will be so useful. And we're the only people that could do it. I don't think it's going to happen, because we're too busy actually making prints. You can't do both. This is a working workshop. I think we've done pretty well so far about documenting this and getting video out there and stuff like that, but really we're just grabbing a few minutes here and there. Our main time is getting prints out the door. The pattern switches here. Now you've seen it. It switches from a positive to a negative pattern. So I don't know why Jed did this last little corner here. What's the time here? Oh, coming on, 9:16. Staff should be here soon. Do we use Sumi ink for key lines? We use Bokaju, standard Sumi, for all of our key lines. Yes, absolutely. I don't think I would call it pigment. It's just a bottle of Sumi ink, the kind that calligraphers use. We use that for all of our key lines. It's not black enough and rich enough for printing black masses. If I was printing this black, we couldn't use it. But the black outlines, they're all done with Sumi ink. Actually, that's an interesting question that you ask right now, why you should ask that, because in my email box is waiting after reply. There's a claim. Somebody got one of our prints. They bought it from, I guess, from Jed's online shop. It's the Fox Moon print they got, and they're not happy with it. And they sent me a couple of photographs of the print, and the key lines are not super rich, thick black. The key lines of the print are a bit of a fuzzy gray here and there. They're not, not jet black incised lines. And he thought it was a mistake, and wasn't sure if he should ask for his money back or whatever. He wrote to me for a reply. I see Cameron actually replied to it, but I've got to reply back myself. And I got to just tell him, that's a design decision. I myself really do not like these strong, rich, jet black key lines that is common in printmaking these days. I follow the older patterns where the key lines were printed in a much lighter color, nearly a gray for the most part. So what he's seeing in that print is not a mistake, it's a design decision. If he doesn't like it, that's fine, I'll give him his money back, he can leave it. But I do not want the rich, thick, jet black lines. When I was first in the ukiyo business, yes, that's what I did, because I thought that's what it was. Strong black lines with flat colors in between them. But the more and more experience I got, the more and more old prints I saw, the more I realized that that's not the case. the contemporary traditional printers, the people who are working here in Tokyo making ukiyo-e reproductions, for the most part, they have fallen into a situation where, for some reason, they're using thick, rich black for the key lines. And that's just the way the tradition has evolved. But when you look at the old prints, you find that that's not the case. That's not how they were made. It's not that the black is faded, it's that it just wasn't printed in thick, rich black. Audrey-san, hello, good morning. 今日2人ですね、Audrey-sanとShiba-sanですね。レイちゃんもう来ないですね。
Yeah.
So, Leigh Chan is gone.
The floor is beautiful. The floor is beautiful.
Ah, so I didn't notice. Aoyama-san must have done it yesterday. So I didn't even notice. I crashed yesterday. I got kind of sick when Monday night. I just spent all of Tuesday just in bed upstairs. I didn't do anything, so I guess he must have done that. Nice. I didn't see. I was supposed to do this over the New Year's time. That was my job over New Year's, and it didn't happen. What are you browbeating me about now? Wait, when you're buying so much, you can't pay the people. Yeah, the imaginary landscape. Exactly. It's not jet black. We don't want that. Absolutely, we don't want that. If you don't believe me about this, whatever, go to ukiyo-e.org. It's a database of ukiyo-e prints from over the centuries online. If you go to ukiyo-e.org, somebody will link it here, and look up, anybody, just browse through the random prints of the old days. You will see that the key lines, for the most part, on ukiyo-e prints, especially in a softer, lighter print like that imaginary landscape you got, are not jet black. There's a nice, balanced, beautiful tone to the whole picture. It's not like the kindergarten thing that you and I grew up with, black outlines and then color filled in the inside. Yeah, just hit any random prints. Just go browsing through that website for old prints. Look up some enlargements, find some enlargements of older prints, and you'll see that for the most part, I'm sure you can find counterexamples, but for the most part, the outlines, the ukiyo-e print outlines, are not black. They're quote black, unquote, but they are not jet black. If you're in the shop here, you can see vividly, we have a section, hundreds of Meiji era and Edo era prints, and all the time I have this conversation with people here. I show them the Showa reproductions, the Hiroshige reproductions that were made by the craftsmen in the 60s and 70s. And they all have this deep jet black outlines, but when we go and compare side by side in the next shelf here with Meiji era prints, people can see there's a softness and a delicacy to the Meiji prints that's totally lacking in the 20th century reproductions. And I'm so glad that I didn't become somebody's apprentice, that I learned how to do this by myself and by looking at older prints. Because if I had been an apprentice, I just would have learned the way that they do it. You do what they tell you to do, and you just absorb that ethic without thinking about it. Because that's why you became an apprentice. You wanted to learn what they were doing. And I'm so glad that that's not the way I learned. Because to me, the way that they make prints these days has just become hugely distorted compared to what it was in the old days. I understand, just master to apprentice, just things change little by little by little. It's like a kid growing up. You don't notice it day by day by day by day. But if you stand back and look at the change over the decades, it's absolutely vivid. Prices. So what are we, 9:25? So this is about it, gang. I've got to get ready. I'm one of the shop staff today, so I've got to get out there. So I think we're about coming to the end of our time today. The plan now, today's Wednesday. So tomorrow's stream, I'm not sure what tomorrow we'll be doing. I know it won't be sizing. I think I'll be down here carving. And it might be a bit of a surprise. So it could be, I might be back on the iPad again tomorrow with some tracing. There's another project that's time to get started. And as you know, the first step in the process, making any new print, is get the design lines ready. So tomorrow's job for me might be tracing. It might not be traditional tools tomorrow. It might be our newest tool, the iPad Pro and pencil. We'll see. I've got to organize my work for the next couple of days. That's what I might be doing on tomorrow's stream. We'll see. And beyond that, I totally can't see where we're going. So. Audrey-san, I'm glad you told me about the floor, you know. If I hadn't noticed, I wouldn't say anything to Aoyama-san. He'd be thinking, oh my God, I do all that and Dave doesn't even notice, you know. Whatever. So, thank you. Whatever, I mean, I knew it had to be done and I saw it when it was dirty, but I didn't...
You didn't have a chance to walk like
well,
in broad daylight?
I didn't. The lights were off. I just came in here and started this. So
yeah,
I think
that's why.
during the day I would probably have noticed because some of it was really bad. The part near the door.
Over there too.
Yeah. So I think I would have noticed, but it's funny. You come in and right away you noticed. You know. Whatever, is it sexist? Whatever, women seem to notice some stuff. You know, hey, the floor's so clean. Wow, you know. Oh, you got a new hairdo, and you know, stuff that I would never notice. I don't know. Actually, I was curious about it. Some of these boxes that were here, they were shuffled around in a different place. So I was thinking, who moved these boxes? You know, what's going on? And he must have, of course, he moved all the boxes, cleaned the floor, and put them back in a different place. So that I noticed. My box is in a different place, you know. So who touched my stuff, you know, whatever. So now I get it. Now I get it.
Makes sense. No ghost.
Sila translated one of the trains okay this morning. Chuo line. Kana? Dajibu kana?
It's often delayed at that time.
10 o'clock party kana?
Yes, 2 people.
You guys are okay for the parties today, right?
Yes.
A 2 and a 3?
2:30
3 people, right?
people.
Because I have a lot of stuff on my plate today. I really have to try and get to it if I can. Yesterday, people tried to come in. I was crashed out in the old party room. And shutter was closed, of course, whatever. And twice during the day, twice that I know, I was sleeping for part of it, but twice while I was away, people came up the stairs.
Really?
Yeah, they came up the stairs.
Is there a sign that says?
Yeah, it says closed Tuesdays, but they came up the stairs. Well, the shutter was closed, so they didn't know. They looked for a shop, they saw the Moko Hankan sign, opened the door, came up the stairs. And when he came up the stairs, ohayou gozaimasu. And I heard them come up the stairs, and the door opened, and there's a sign in front that says, shop left, print party room right. And the girls said, oh, print party room. So they came towards print party room. No, and the glass door was closed. Please don't come in. I'm sitting there with my barf bucket next to me. Just don't come in, don't come in. And they didn't. Cameron was in the office at the back, and he came out and intercepted them, explained that we were closed, so.
Is this for upstairs?
I have no idea.
You ordered the carpet?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
But I can guess what it is. This is Aoyama-san.
Okay.
He's trying to find a way to make the sizing table warmer. We're having trouble. We're doing the sizing and so.
Should I take it up?
Oh, or I'll take it up when I go up there.
Sure. Okay, I'll leave it here.
Thank you. So, okay, he's going to try. That's his solution, is it? I wasn't sure what he's going to try, but.
Okay.
Okay, I think we better wrap this up here. Can't quite get this finished now. Together. Okay, where are we? Been a bit of a quiet stream today. Thank you. I thought I was going to stop. Sorry about that. So I started to say the right things. I'm going to close down the stream, and then I got distracted, and then came back to carving. So they all said goodbye. I'm still here. Okay. Yeah, we're off. Okay, today's Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Thursday. I'm not quite sure what I'll be doing. As I said, I think it might be tracing work on the iPad. I'm not quite sure. We'll see what it goes. Anyway, thanks so much again, guys. See you tomorrow. Same time, same station. Thank you again. Gonna say goodbye, Audrey? It's okay.
Sorry.
You're a mouthful. What do you have? You have breakfast?
I'm finishing my breakfast.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye, guys. Yes, for real this time. Over and out.